What does it mean to be rich? Is it gold? Is it caravans stretching beyond the horizon? Is it a name that makes people stand in respect? Or is true wealth something far heavier than gold? Something that will be weighed on a day when gold itself will burn? This is not the story of a poor man who became rich. This is the story of a rich man who never allowed wealth to enter his heart, who feared Allah more than poverty, and who was promised paradise, yet cried at night, terrified of accountability. This is the story of Abdur Rahman ibn Awf. May Allah be pleased with him. Before Islam, Makkah was a city of dust and idols, a city where lineage meant survival and trade meant power. Caravans came from Yemen in the winter, Sham in the summer. And among the merchants of Quraysh was a young man named Abu Amr ibn Awf. He was intelligent, sharp in trade, trusted in business. People felt safe placing their wealth in his hands. He was not poor, he was not unknown. And yet, none of this would save him from the moment when truth knocked on his heart. When Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, began calling secretly to Islam, the message was simple, yet terrifying. Say there is no God but Allah, and you will succeed. No promise of power, no promise of wealth, only certainty and sacrifice. Through Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, may Allah be pleased with him, the message reached Abu Amr, may Allah be pleased with him. And something in his heart recognized it instantly. He accepted Islam, quietly, sincerely, becoming one of the earliest believers. Our Rasulullah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, looked at him and said, "Your name is now Abdur Rahman, servant of the Most Merciful." In that moment he gained a name and lost the world. Faith in early Makkah was not free. It cost friendships, safety, reputation, business. Abdur Rahman was mocked, threatened, isolated. Customers disappeared. Trade partners withdrew. But his heart did not retreat. When the persecution became unbearable, he left his homeland for Allah. Not once, twice. He migrated to Abyssinia, leaving behind everything he owned. Imagine that moment. A man who understood trade, walking away from all of it for something he could not see. Twice he packed what little he could carry. Twice he turned his back on the streets he knew by heart. Twice he walked away from familiarity, from comfort, from certainty, for the sake of Allah alone. The road to Abyssinia was long and unforgiving. A road filled with dust, fear, and unanswered questions. Would they be welcomed? Would they be hunted down? Would they ever return? But there was something stronger than fear in Abdur Rahman's chest. Yaqeen. Certainty that Allah sees. Certainty that no sacrifice for him is ever lost. In a foreign land, far from the Kaaba, far from family and tribe, Abdur Rahman lived as a stranger. Yet his faith stood tall. He was safe, but he was not settled. His heart still faced Makkah. His soul still waited for Allah's command. And when that command finally came, when the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was allowed to migrate to Madinah, Abdur Rahman ibn Awf did not hesitate. He left again. This time he left everything. No trade goods, no savings, no safety net. Only faith and a heart trained in sacrifice. He entered Medina not as the wealthy merchant of Quraysh, but as a poor muhajir, carrying nothing except a reputation for honesty and a soul rich with iman. And it was there, in that moment of complete emptiness, that Allah prepared to show the world a miracle. How a man can lose everything for Allah and be given far more than he ever imagined. When the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, paired Abdur Rahman ibn Awf with Sa'd ibn Rabi, this was after the Hijrah in Madinah, at a moment when the Muslim community was being rebuilt from nothing. Sa'd ibn Rabi was not from Makkah. He was an Ansari, one of the people of Madinah who welcomed the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and the Muhajirun into their homes, their city, and their lives. And when brotherhood was established, something happened that is almost impossible for a modern heart to fully grasp. Sa'd did not make a polite offer. He did not suggest a small donation. He did not speak in metaphors. He opened his entire life. Half his wealth, half his comfort, half his stability, half of everything that made his life easy. To understand this, we must pause. The Sahaba were not like us. They were not shaped by individualism, fear of loss, or attachment to possessions. Their hearts were formed by revelation, sacrifice, and direct companionship with the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Their generosity did not come from surplus. It came from yaqeen, unshakable certainty. No one from our time, no matter how charitable, can truly reach their level. And we are not asked to. They were chosen for a moment in history when faith demanded absolute surrender, not partial generosity. This was not emotional impulse. It was iman in its purest form, and the offer itself was extraordinary and authentic, recorded in Sahih al-Bukhari. Sa'd ibn Rabi said in meaning, "I am the richest of the Ansar. I will give you half of my wealth, and I have 2 wives. Look at them, and whichever you choose, I will divorce her, and after her waiting period, you may marry her." This was not casual. This was not immoral. This was not outside Islamic law. It was an offer made within the framework of Shari boundaries, reflecting a level of generosity and brotherhood that history would never see again. And then came Abdur Rahman's response. "May Allah bless you in your wealth and your family. Show me the market." This was not pride. This was not rejection. And it was certainly not ingratitude. It was trust in Allah. Abdur Rahman understood something profound, that dependence on people, even righteous, beloved people, was not the path Allah had written for him. He did not want charity to become his identity. He wanted obedience to be his foundation. He believed, with unshakable certainty that the same Allah who had taken his wealth away in Makkah could restore it in Madinah if he willed. And if Allah chose not to restore it, then obedience would still be enough. In this single moment, Allah showed the Ummah two peaks of faith standing side by side, the unmatched generosity of the Ansar, and the dignity, self-reliance, and reliance upon Allah of the Muhajirun, two forms of greatness, neither competing, both complete. And through them, Allah taught the Ummah that true brotherhood is not measured by how much is taken, but by how sincerely hearts are placed in his hands. He started with almost nothing, not capital, not connections, not the comfort of a safety net, just a few simple goods, some butter, some cheese, a handful of coins that barely felt like a beginning. He stood in the market of Madinah, a stranger among familiar faces, with no guarantee that anyone would even stop at his stall, no reputation here, no past success to lean on, only honesty and trust in Allah. But Allah placed barakah in his hands. Not the kind of blessing that appears loudly, but the kind that grows quietly. A fair deal here, a satisfied customer there, a word of trust passed from one person to another. Days passed, then weeks, then years, and slowly, almost unnoticed, his trade began to breathe. Goods moved faster, routes expanded, partnerships formed. Caravans returned to Medina once more. Not small caravans, but long lines of camels stretching across the horizon, carrying provisions, fabrics, grain, and wealth. The man who arrived with nothing now watched his wealth surpass imagination. But something remarkable happened, something far rarer than success. His heart did not change. Wealth entered his hands, but it never entered his heart. It did not make him proud. It did not make him careless. It did not make him forget the nights of hunger or the days of sacrifice. Every dinar reminded him of Allah. Every profit increased his fear of accountability. He never said, "I earned this." He said, "Allah provided." And that is why the wealth stayed, because barakah does not remain with those who worship wealth. It remains with those who carry it lightly, knowing it can be taken away as easily as it was given. In the 6th year after the Hijrah, Madinah stood at a turning point. Islam was growing, but threats still surrounded it from every direction. Beyond the city's borders were tribes watching closely, some curious, some hostile, some waiting for weakness. It was in this moment that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, chose Abdur Rahman ibn Awf for a mission of great weight. This was not an ordinary assignment. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, called Abdur Rahman forward. In front of the companions, he placed a turban on his head with his own hands, a gesture of trust, honor, and responsibility. It was a silent message to the Ummah. This man is worthy of leadership. He appointed him commander of an expedition to Dumal Jandal, a strategic region far to the north, where alliances could either strengthen Islam or threaten it. The journey itself was long and unforgiving. Days across open desert, cold nights, the constant possibility of ambush. The stakes were high. A single mistake could mean bloodshed. A single harsh word could ignite war. But Abdur Rahman did not lead with fear, and he did not lead with arrogance. He led with mercy, wisdom, and patience. The very qualities he had learned by walking beside the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. When he reached the people of Dumat al-Jandal, he did not rush to confrontation. He spoke. He listened. He invited them to Islam with calm words and steady character. Days passed. Then, something remarkable happened. The local leader, Al-Azbag ibn Amr al-Kalbi, looked not only at the message of Islam, but at the man delivering it. And he accepted Islam. No swords were raised. No blood was spilled. No families were broken by war. A potential battlefield became a place of peace. And when Abdur Rahman returned to Medina, he did not return with tales of conquest. He returned with something far greater, a victory achieved through character, not force, through patience, not power, through faith, not fear. This moment revealed a truth that Islam would carry forward across history. That leadership in Islam is not measured by how many fall before you, but by how many hearts are guided through you. One day Medina trembled. People asked, "Is this an earthquake?" No. It was Abdur Rahman's caravan, hundreds of camels, loaded with food, goods, wealth. Aisha, may Allah be pleased with him, remembered a statement of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Abdur Rahman will enter paradise crawling. When Abdur Rahman heard this, he froze. Not relieved, terrified. I fear my wealth will delay me. That same day, he donated the entire caravan. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, named him among the 10 promised paradise. Imagine that. A man who knew his ending, yet lived in fear. That is iman. After the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, passed away, Abdur Rahman never chased leadership. When Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, died, Abdur Rahman could have become caliph. He stepped back. He chose unity over ego. History was shaped by his humility. When Abdur Rahman ibn Awf, may Allah be pleased with him, died, Medina wept. His wealth was vast, but his charity had been vaster. He was buried among the righteous, a man who touched the world, yet lived for the hereafter. So we ask again, what is wealth? Abdur Rahman ibn Awf answers, that which does not own your heart. May Allah be pleased with him.